Alright, welcome back to this week's Tech Talk. I'm Dr. Kent. You are now listening to i3EDU Journal, which is an educational platform offered by IIIDEI. We are the digital educational institute here in Taiwan. Our offices is actually located everywhere in Taiwan, including northern Taiwan, middle, and down south. And for those of you who are interested to sign up and become our members or one of our courses online, you are more than welcome to do so. If you go down to our official website, for those of you who are interested in any of our courses offered online, you are more than welcome to browse our official website. There is a lot of course explanations and details for you. To finding out more of our courses online, let me provide the URL for you guys. It's https://www.iiidei.org.tw. Let me repeat the URL for you guys again. It's https://www.iiidei.org.tw. Okay, it's www.iiidei.org.tw. So you're going to be able to find a lot of different courses underneath this website. If you go down to our course sessions online, you will be surprised to find out different and varieties of courses that offer here. If you are really a programmer yourself and you're thinking to enhance your programming language skills, you're going to be able to find courses like C#, Python, R language, JavaScript, or you are thinking about becoming the mobile application developers. We also offer courses for iOS systems, Android systems, and so on. And of course, not to mention we have the artificial intelligence courses in machine learning, etc. So don't hesitate and don't miss out. If you are seeking for sustainability of improving yourself for your capability at work or just self-improvement, definitely check out our official website. And underneath that, there's lots of courses might just be the right fit for you. Again, my name is Dr. Ken. I'm one of the product managers here at DEI, III. What we do here in DEI, the Digital Education Institute, we try to connect you guys from online to offline and offline to online, especially for now during the coronavirus, the COVID-19 outbreaks, which is influencing everybody to go into a physical classrooms. And not to mention that we did a lot of preparation for that ahead of time. And for the extensive, you will be able to find relevant courses online as well. We use all types of streaming video conferences systems, so to make sure our fellow students, for whoever register to any of our courses, we guarantee and try to make sure that you still have the same quality as you came into the classroom in person. Our lecturers and course managers is always there to assist our fellow students. This is for the individuals, and not to mention for enterprise. Lots of the human resource department is also looking for the right fit of courses during this time period to best help their employees to set up their own sustainable development goals in terms of individually and as a team. So in this case, for any enterprise or company contact persons or windows, you are more than welcome to reach out to us. Each sessions underneath different categories of the courses, you can find us online through our social media. You can text us, private message us, or you can email us, or by calling our extension number for the corresponding course managers, we're going to be able to explain and go into the details how to customize and best fit your needs. Anyway, so that was a brief introduction about DEI, Digital Education Institute here in Taiwan. And for those of you who are cross regions, no matter you're in Southeast Asia, if you are in the Great China area, or you are in Europe, or Northern and Southern America, everywhere, as long as you are connected through internet, you can always reach out. We also looking forward to serve you and to surprise you with more of our insights and our years of teaching experiences to best help our students. Anyway, again, my name is Dr. Ken. I hope you guys have the chance to catch up to my previous episode about social media and social networking. And in today's episode, I'm gonna be spending times talking about creativity and planning about your social medias and your social networking. So don't miss out today's show. After coming back from the short recess, I'll get right into the details, so don't miss out. And definitely remember to subscribe to our i3EDU channels. With more details, I will also provide a URL again during our break times. Alright, welcome back to this episode of TechTalk. I'm your host, Dr. Ken. I'm one of the product managers here in IIDEI. DEI is Digital Education Institute here in Taiwan. We offer tech-relevant courses, digital-relevant courses, and managerial-relevant courses. We offer so many different types of courses online. I hope you guys have the chance to browse through our official website, which I have provided before coming back to the show. And always remember to subscribe to our i3EDU channel. This is a educational approach channels. We have different types of contents in diverse languages and varieties of courses and materials offered to you guys. All you need to do is use your finger to click and you will be able to check out different courses and their demonstrations, and some they even get into the course material and details, and it's all free. So without further ado, I should jump right into the topic today, right? We have talked about the social medias and social networking since our last episode, and I know that some of you might be curious, is everybody has to be a YouTuber? Is everybody had to be internet celebrities or the KOLs, what we call the key opinion leaders? Yes, but also no. In order to become one of those internet celebrities and so-called the KOLs, you need to have certain characteristics and of course some perspective to share. Otherwise, you could be just simply open up an social media's account. Maybe if you want to be one of those YouTubers, you could use Gmail, like we have shared in the last episode. You sign up and get your account and you activate your YouTube page, but it's not going to get you anywhere. Viewers and subscribers are not going to just come to your page and say, oh, I like you. No, it really depending on what are the contents you have been sharing and what are the attractions. If you don't have any good ideas, of course, people wouldn't want to come to your page for nothing. And even if you have ideas, but if you don't take actions and didn't try to get your hands dirty, believe it or not, it's still a vacant on your page, right? So there are several things you need to do, which is something we will also like to cover today in this episode, which is the social media's content, creativity, and planning. In order to get your page with clicks and views and likes or dislikes sometimes, and comments and feedbacks, of course, you need to have substantial and sustainable numbers of contents, which means videos or blogs or audio notes in order to attract people to visit. And you must be thinking by now, how am I going to make people subscribe to my channels, or how do I keep people here and have longer time spent on my social media platforms or channels or each of the videos, which is another big topic we're going to talk about in my next video. But in this video, this episode, I'm going to majorly focus on how do you define your content. Maybe I should say, how do you define yourself before you can generate your content? And in order to really consolidate your social media platforms, which is your own personal customized channels, you need to give it a thought. You're not just making one episode, right? You are making a series, you are making maybe a seasons, and how many episodes you're going to have in a seasons. So in your head right now, you must be really doing some brainstormings and plannings, which is definitely necessary. And maybe right before you started to make and edit and shoot your content, you need to prioritize them, right? Making sure that knowing what's going to happen and try to sequentialize and prioritize them, which is definitely a good step to begin with. But for those of you, if you haven't check out my first video, my first episode regarding about social media and networking, which means you might not even have an account to begin with. A lot of the users, the so-called thinkers, they're not signing up to any of the services. And a lot of times for a lot of the social media, I'm using a lot of because there are so many of them out there. So lots of the social media platform, they doesn't require or it's not necessary to sign up and become one of their members in order to kick off all their services and products. However, if you're thinking about becoming one of the content provider yourself, then you would have to subscribe, register, and become their users in order to activate all the services, which is a very different approach for this sense and that side. So if you are thinking about generating your content and uploading to your social media platforms, no matter it's YouTube under Google, or it's Facebook live streaming videos, or Instagram videos under Facebook, or like I have introduced in the first episode, TechTalk, either one of those, you have to be a registered member to begin with. So if you haven't done so, you are more than welcome. And I actually encourage you guys to roll back to my last week, which is my previous episode on introducing social medias and social networkings. When you finish that video, I think you will probably have a better idea what characteristics of you and what are the approaches and some of their services and maybe feature is right for you as a content provider in the near future, or as somebody who would like to share your thoughts, your opinions online, you can choose any of those platforms. And I know some of you might be very curious, if I wouldn't like to be in front of the camera, if I don't want to shoot a video, if I just want to share my voice, which is like what I'm doing now, Mr. and Dr. Kent, because this is more like a tutorial session, so I'm not necessarily sharing my face pic, right? I'm not doing this as a video as well. I'm just recording my voice while sharing my slides with you guys. If you guys are actually visible, which means if you can see, then you will see some of my slides down below, right? This is also how we handle our course sessions during each courses. We not only have the lecturers talking to our students, but we're also providing course slides, course materials, which will best help our students when you go home. You can always go back to it. And of course, if you sign up our video streaming courses online, you can always go back and check the archive videos, which is something that I'm doing now, because what I do now is audio recording, right? So you can always come back as long as you subscribe to our i3edu channels. Any of the contents up here is free, and you can always come back and post and come back at another time to finish the rest of the program. So if you're a shy personality like me, I'm not really that shy, but I mean, if you don't like to present your face right in front of the camera, or you kind of get camera nervous, you're not one of those people who tend to look good in front of the camera, or we can practice, of course. We also have courses helping you, to be comfortable in front of the camera, and of course in front of the microphones, which is what I'm doing now. It does take times and practices, and I think our courses, our lecturings will be the right fit for you. As I was saying, that you should prioritize and figure out what is the right sequentials and steps for you. A lot of people, they could just open up another YouTube videos and type in some of the keywords and hashtag, maybe finding what is right for them. But lots of the students, lots of the juniors and novices, they are looking for a complete set of course to guide them, to teach them, and to answer them, maybe face-to-face, or maybe through the video streaming online. They can ask questions, and the lecturer can use those times and moments to really elaborate and get into the details. So as I was saying, that finding the best fit for yourself is always the first step to begin with. Before you decide you want to really become this huge content providers, you want to generate videos or audio notes or blogs every single day. I admire that spirit, which is possible. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but you always need to know there are just different types of users, students, creators, providers. So you just need to know, who are you, what are you, and where are you, etc. So also you want to map out who will be your target audience. Who are they? Where are they? When are they? When are they watching your videos or audios, right? These will be the key factors and facts that really affecting you while you are generating and coming up with your stories and videos. I know a lot of you might be having second thought like, oh, I saw a lot of videos online. Those creators, those YouTubers, they don't seem to have a crew. They just keep shooting out stuff, saying silly words, or singing silly songs and doing silly ads. Yes and no. You never know. Maybe they have putting a lot of time and efforts in those silly words, silly songs, or silly ads. Maybe they did have a lot of time spent and effort into it, and they probably put into a lot of great ideas just to make it seem or sound even more silly. So yes, you don't really have to be one of those silly YouTubers or serious YouTubers. You could be just you. But in order to just be you, you still want to give it a thought. How much creativity I can put into my videos, or my audios, or my storytellings. Basically, that's what we are doing every single time when you are uploading something and share it to the greater internet. Before you share your so-called creative content onto the World Wide Web, www with a lot of strangers who you never met before. You might really give it some thought. Otherwise, those videos, of course, you can always make them go offline, right? But you definitely want to be precise and accurate if you're providing informational content. And of course, your content, if you want to be really creative, you couldn't be just so-called because I'm being creative, so I'm mocking people, I make fun of people, even though there are a lot of videos making fun of people. But if you are being abusive or you are trying to target someone, maybe it was another public icons, maybe another internet celebrities, or just anybody, if you're targeting and mocking them, slander them, or maligning them, either one of those, you could have fall into the gray area of getting yourself some penalty funds, and you wouldn't be able to bail yourself out by calling myself being creative. So there is a fine line between creativity and following the rules and guidelines. Anyway, so in today's episode, I'm gonna get into a lot of those, okay? Giving you example of what is a good creativity and how do you do plannings and what are some of the lame excuses of calling yourself creativity but you are attacking or slandering somebody and get yourself into trouble, which is something that we definitely wanted to avoid. Internet is definitely a space of freedoms and freedom of speech, but you need to know there is always a bottom line. Anyway, so before I get into more details about today's topic, which is the social media and networking's creativity and planning, let's take another brief recess, and after break, we'll come back to today's show. And as a reminder, definitely go check out our official website. The URL again is www.iiidei.org.tw. I'm also going to put it on my brief recess advertisements. And when we come back from the break, I'm gonna share more. Alright, welcome back to today's Tech Talk, the episode regarding about social media and networking's creativity and planning. I'm Dr. Ken, I'm the speaker of today. I hope you guys have the time to check out our official website in the brief recess. We are the DEI Digital Education Institute here in Taiwan. As I was sharing throughout my show, we are an educational institute providing courses, online and offline courses for our fellow students. If you are thinking about signing up to any of our courses, feel free to reach out if you have any questions. We are on our social media. We are reachable through text, emails, and by calling our extension numbers. Different courses have a corresponding course managers, so there's always somebody dedicating to serve and answer your questions. And I'm Dr. Ken. I'm one of the product managers here in DEI. Part of my job is by putting together course materials and designing courses that will best fit our students or enterprise clients' needs. And of course, you're going to be seeing me a lot or probably signing up to one of my course sessions. My specialties are lies in the accessibility design, accessibility testings, and so does the guidelines in mobile apps for users with special needs. And not to mention, with time, people age up, so all the age group users have higher chance of becoming users with special needs. So you definitely wanted to know what are their needs, what are the necessities when it comes down to designing a product, no matter it's a software or hardware. So I also offer courses regarding about user interface, user experiences, and of course, via the new media, you will be also finding audio descriptions for users with visual impairments or people with hearing disabilities. Do you know about this user's needs? I have all the insights. So in the near future, if you're thinking about learning more and use this to improve yourself at work, at life, at school, definitely look me up. I will offer courses. If I'm not offering any face-to-face class, then you can still find me online. There are a lot of online sessions that you don't want to miss out. As I was saying, in today's episode, we're going to talk about creativity and planning. Do you think you are a very creative person? Growing up, we must heard a lot of that. When you were playing with your friends or peers, when you guys are being so-called creative, a lot of the grown-ups around you, they will either encourage you to go further or they tended to stop you. Not to mention, in a lot of the Asian countries and regions, our culture doesn't quite encouraging our kids and of course our students to explore in that territories. Being creative sounds risky and sounds lots of uncertainties. They would like to stay what the guideline has told you to do. That's not a true or false situation there, or that's not like a black and white situation there either. Of course, the guideline is help to make sure that when something goes wrong, you know how to prevent it or try to avoid them. But if you're insisting on misoperating something or misbehaving yourself, then you know there are penalties and there are laws that are gonna come after you. So that's what the guidelines are telling us to do, right? Also called the Standard Operation Procedure, the SOPs. Often in time, that really helps. When you are in a workspace or when you are in a course environment, you want to make sure that you know what are the guidelines. And it's the same thing when you go to the social media platforms or different channels and services or even the products. It's the same thing. You gotta read the manual, right? There are user agreements that where you have to fulfill and agree upon. But I know a lot of times, and especially some of you who are listening to this, I'm sure you were just like me. There's a long page of items and terms and conditions. Who on earth have all the time to go through line by line, word by word? But yes, there are still very limited of people who will actually do so, which is a good thing. It's a plus for them. But often in time, you're going to find that even if you go through the line by line, word by word thing, there's still a lot of confusions right in there because you really don't know what are those terms supposed to mean. And if you say no, then you probably wouldn't be able to go on to the next step, which means you are so far away on activating your service. And lots of people will be assuming that since everybody agreed to it, I might as well just click yes, yes, and yes. In that sense, yes and no. I know that's what we do because you want to save the time and you want to start right away, right? But you do need to pay attention because the agreement or the standard operation procedures or some sort of guideline is there to protect you, your rights, your authorities. As a content providers or as a creators, you simply don't want to see how people simply just borrow so-called or they just copy your stuff on their own contents, their own videos or their own audios, which is something disappointed. They should give you certain credit, or if you don't authorize anybody to use your content at all, the system providers or the so-called social media providers, they will cut it off for you. They will stopping other people from stealing your ideas or using your work without your permission or without payment. So if you're one of those users thinking about, oh, maybe I could have video shooting my own stuff and then maybe I can do editing to it and then I can put in more creative to my videos, my storytellings. Best yet, I could have profit earning out of it. There are advertisers or other content providers or maybe other YouTubers or internet celebrities would like to cooperate with you. Then we are really talking. But way before all those, before you're signing any agreements, any contracts, you definitely wanted to know, what are you signing up for? Maybe it doesn't quite fit your need as well. So you definitely want to pay attention. And if you don't, you might get yourself into other troubles. And not to mention, if you become one of our students or signing up our courses online, you can also find underneath the new media sessions. In our course, our lecturers will guide you through step by step and will explain the terms and conditions to you thoroughly. So you wouldn't have to worry about those big vocabularies, big terms, which you are so unfamiliarized with. So it's another plus by signing up to our courses, no matter it's online course or offline course. So again, remember it's underneath iiidei.org.tw. If you're trying to connect with us through the internet browsers, there's where you're supposed to go and go to the course sessions. You're going to find lots of different courses listed up there. And for any further questions and discussions, feel free to reach out to us by texting us, private messages through our social medias, or you can simply calling our extension number. Each of the course session will have a corresponding course manager for you. And if you're thinking about booking the whole sessions for a member of 10, 15, 20, maybe you guys are an enterprise or a company to thinking about improving your employees' ability or their sustainable development goals settings, I think you have just come to the right place. Anyway, so I want to readdress a little bit before I jump right into the next sessions. Here we talk about creativity, or I should call the bottom line of not to intrude any guidelines, rules, and laws. Sometimes if it got to a certain degree of concern, you might have violating some sort of rules and laws, then other content providers, other creators may come right after you with their rights, of course. Which in the next session, of course, in our today's episode, I will also share some very brief work from other creators, other content providers. I'm going to be picking certain categories, maybe just one categories, and really showing you guys what is creativity is all about. Even though you guys are talking about the same old thing, or maybe just the same thing, but you could have your own personality to it. You could definitely have your own characteristics and touches to it. What's more, you need to have your own ideas. It's almost like making a salad bowl by adding different kind of toppings to it, right? And different dressings to it, sort of said. Sorry if you guys haven't had your breakfast or lunch. It's gonna make you hungry. But yes, a lot of times when you are coming up with a content, video content, audio content, or any kind of content or blogs, maybe it's text-based, online, it's very similar like how you prepare your salad bowl. If you don't know what I'm saying, I could have put in a picture right here and you know what that is. Salad is healthy to begin with, right? So sort of say that the content base have to be healthy to begin with. Well, I know there are also viewers and users who will go for unhealthy stuff, but again, those will be falls in the category of approvals from the platforms. Of course, if you're choosing certain types of social media as a platform, they will coming up with the guidelines, the SOPs to examine your stuff. So you want to make sure it's always easy to begin your content with something healthy. And of course, by adding different kind of toppings to it, let's say if you're allergic to peanut, you will leave out peanuts, of course, right? But you would still like to have some texture to it. So by doing so, you could have replaced the peanut with Applejack, which is the cereal that I add in my breakfast. I don't know if you guys can get it here in Taiwan, probably yes. Or something else, the cornflakes. Anything to increase the texture a little bit on top of your salads. And of course, veggie is very important. So besides the baseline of those vegetables, you can always add in carrots. But if your children doesn't like carrots, you can always find other fruits or vegetable to replace that, right? So it's kind of the same ideas when you are creating a content, a video, an audio, or even just writing a blog in the text-based sense. You need to know what I'm adding on top of my salad bowl, right? And of course, eventually it will come down to the dressing. If you have everything, I have the freshest vegetable down below, and I have all these different types of flavor and textures of toppings on top of your salad bowl. You thought it's all delicious, right? But without the dressing, sometimes it could be really dry. So imagine this, when you're coming back to your video shootings, when you're coming back to your stories, you need to know what I'm telling people, what I want to tell them ultimately, my story, who are the characters, where is this story take place, what are the outfits for all these characters, what is the relationship between them, how would the characters interact with one another, and what would be a surprise, not a downcast ending for the viewers. There's so much to think about, and this is exactly the same process of how you making your own salad bowl, right? It's very similar. So when we come back, maybe I can elaborate a little more about this salad bowl making process for you guys, which you can definitely reference right back onto your content designing, script writing, and video shootings. And of course, how are you going to make it fancier by adding more types of different textures, flavors, and dressing on it? And if you find yourself while at this process of making your own salad bowl, which is making your own videos, making your own audios, or making your own blogs, you have difficulties to it. And you are definitely at the right place, which is our official website. There's a lot of courses for you to check out. Starting from the new medias, we teach you how to use different types of softwares, editing tools to do with your videos. And of course, we will tell you how to use your devices to shoot, to make sure you have the best lightnings, and of course, the best angles, and so does the sound quality. Those are very crucial, especially when it comes down to a video with a length of 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, or less than 15 minutes, because you can't put everything into your video, right? Unlike what I'm doing now, my video is longer than about an hour or so, but this is a tech talk, so I'm doing the talk. But even when I'm talking to you guys, I want to make sure that during each sessions, before the break, what I'm wanting to put into your guys' mind and head, of course, which is something for you guys to think about. Anyway, after the break, I'm gonna take a little break for now, and when we come back, maybe I can start elaborate a little bit more about the creativity part by giving you guys some examples. Hopefully, this could have helped you guys to think harder. If it's for you, what would you do differently? Anyway, I'm Dr. Ken. Let's go to our break, and when we come back, we will get right into the creativity sessions. Alright, welcome back to this episode of Tech Talk. I'm Dr. Ken. In today's episode, I'm talking about creativity and planning for social medias and social networkings. In my previous videos, you guys should have already learned about most of the social medias and networkings and how it was functions and what are some of the characteristics of each different platforms. How is there a right fit for you and how do you choose? And when you are about to adopting all these different platforms, where should you begin with by signing up and getting yourself the right and the key to access to all these services? So if you guys don't have the chance to check out my first videos, which is my first episode, I'll provide the link down here, or maybe I'll adding an info card so you guys can just click and go to the very first episode that I have here in the i3EDU journals. And with all due respect, the i3EDU journals is an online educational platforms here in Taiwan provided by IIIDEI. III is Institute for Information Industry and DEI stands for Digital Education Institute, which is where I'm at right now. I'm one of the product manager underneath the DEI. We offer courses face-to-face and of course online courses for all digital and tech-relevant courses for you guys. For those of you who have a technical backgrounds, you always know there are so many new things to learn and it doesn't seem to have an end, correct? If you're familiarized with assembly language or C++ back in the old times, not to mention, or if you're a DBA, a database administrator, you write SQLs and on. And of course, there are so many new languages, Python, R language, they have been around for a long time. It's kind of like a wave when majority of the developers, they switched from one language to another, then which means there are some other new languages you have to learn, correct? And it's the same thing for those non-techie stuff. If you are not a programming developers, we also have the right courses for you. If you're in the media industries, you definitely know the strike and the threats of the new media, but it wasn't that horrible. All you need to do is by putting all those ideas and your skills back in the traditional medias, let's say the cable, let's say the televisions, the radios, and now with our courses and with our assistant, you can integrate them, your skill set, your equipment, your tools to leveraging your ideas and contents to the new platforms, which are the new medias. So definitely encourage you guys to check out our official website. Again, the URL is www.iiidei.org.tw. Underneath the course sessions, you're going to be finding out so many different type of courses might best fit your need. No matter you are students, you are workers, or you are none of the above. If you are just an individual looking to self-improve, or if you are a company or enterprise HR personnel and looking for development courses for your employees, I think you have just come to the right place. We have it all for you, online to offline, offline to online, especially during this Corona, the COVID-19 outbreak and crisis. Everybody is looking for the safest way, the most convenient way to learn without exposing ourselves to a higher risk of getting any of those viruses, correct? So I believe IIIDEI has finding the best solution for you guys. As long as you're connected to the internet, we have it for you. So don't hesitate. If you have any further questions or doubts, feel free to reach out to us. We are here on all the social media platforms. You can text us, message us, or by calling our extension number. Of course, if you're locally here in Taiwan, we can even arrange a teleconference meeting if that is required to best answer your needs and questions. But either one of that, our correspondent course manager is more than happy to help. Again, I'm Dr. Ken. I'm one of the product manager here in IIIDEI. And today, I'm gonna be sharing with you guys about the creativities and planning for social medias and your networking. In the previous 2 sessions, I have kind of addressed some of the key elements. What is the fine line between creativity and getting yourself into trouble? Creativity is not something that you can get away when you are making offensive content or contents to slander others. There are lots of the Me Too sensitive contents you better avoid. And of course, definitely one of those cyberbully acts is something you don't want to have it presented underneath your channel, right? Not within your content. Well, unless you are being a storyteller and that's part of the story, but the ultimate goal is to tell people it's not right to do so. But if you're proactively telling people to do so, then you might not be able to fall into the creativity categories, okay? Lately, we have a lot of those, the talk shows. Talk show is always a big thing on the Western side, but in Asia countries, let's say talk show for example, it's still very early stage. It's still very experimenting. So as you guys who are also activate and always check out YouTube clips or different clips at different platforms, then you should know about the incidents, about the fine line between creativity and penalty, which some of the content providers or the so-called creators really need to take it into considerations. I really don't want to take this as an abusive example, but I really think this would be a good demonstration for us to discuss today as well, because it's all over the news. And it's not really like cover the headline stories, but as you guys will know, talk show was kind of introduced to us here in the cyberspace for a couple of years by now. And talk shows, stand-up comedies was never a thing locally here in Taiwan, but lately you see a lot of younger creators, younger stand-up comedians, they're willing to try different types of elements and bringing out different types of topics, but often a lot of time insulting. They're swearing a lot. That's why, and they talk about sex. Of course, we know that topics like that is always easy to approach. And you can always make fun of it. You better be making fun of yourself, not making fun of others. Otherwise, again, it could be fall right into the category as I was sharing earlier. You're slandering someone and you are mocking somebody, and that could really get yourself into trouble. No matter you are trying to mocking them in a very creative way, it still counts because it's not for you to judge, it's for others to judge. And some of you might also be curious that, okay, so if I'm trying to be creative, let's say if you are a talk show or a stand-up comedian, you don't want to target or attack anybody, so you use yourself as a material, which is good and which is cool. A lot of the content providers or creators, they approach this way, which I'm also encouraging you to do so, because if you have a lot of story to tell, better by telling your own stories, right? But this is what happened lately. The popular stand-up comedian, I don't even want to mention the name, but if you guys do pay attention or Google, you should know he has a talk show host. I believe it's in Taipei and it's a pretty big one. There are thousands of audience sitting there listening to the stand-up comedian was sharing his story. He was encouraging people, especially female populations, to rap the guys, okay? This is very controversial, and of course, I think a lot of the stand-up comedians will do so because they want attentions, they want to get the fame, okay? But when you have a big crowd of audiences, listeners, or followers or subscribers, sometimes you really have to be careful with this. And especially we know that this individual, this particular stand-up comedian, this is not the first time he has been on the news. And lots of the critics and people on the internet has judged him too. He always make fun about his manhood by making all the audience knowing that he has a pop-up manhood to get the attention. I don't know if this is a good approach, but it definitely works. And a lot of people were also saying that there is no wrong intention by getting people to pay attention to the manhood. Sometimes he even make a lot of fun jokes regarding about his own manhood. And I think a lot of the people, no matter if you are creators or you are stand-up comedians, you have to be very comfortable and very confident in order to do so, right? Because people will start paying more attention to your manhood instead of your stories, your jokes. It's also a very stunning act to take, but he takes it anyway. And I think he wants in a lot of reputations. Not is it a negative or positive one? We really don't know. But it makes his ticket sales, which is a good thing. Like I say, I don't think he's being totally silly with the things and his works. A lot of times, I think he knows himself very well. He knows what are some of his advantages because he goes to good schools, he study abroad, he have 2 master degrees, I believe. And so, see, he used and grasped all these characteristics and advantages out of himself and turn it into something that people would talk about. Imagine this. If your grandpa is telling you that I'm gonna be a talk show host or I'm gonna be a stand-up comedian, will you ask him to pursue or stop him? Well, I mean, unless your grandpa has a lot of story to tell and they're all very funny, and if he seems to find like a creative way to handle it, I think why not, right? Plus, now all the social medias and platforms are allowing everybody to be your own creators, so you can share your stories. However, for this particular talk show host, or I should say the stand-up comedian, he has lots of subscribers. When you have subscribers up to 100,000 or maybe 1 million, usually give it a second thought because a lot of the subscribers online, especially through the internet, they are the youngsters. They are people who still goes to elementary schools, who are still a junior high kids. They will watch your content, and your content, of course, let's say YouTube, for example, is free, right? So any of those words that you say, no matter you are joking about your gigantic manhood, or he has been lately talking about, which is something that I've just mentioned, that encouraging girls to intrude, to rap, and to take charge of the guys. It sounds very controversial and it sounds ridiculous, but however, people buying that. But is everybody mature enough to knowing that it's a joke or is something serious? They can follow what you were saying. And of course, there's another debate for him that people were saying that, come on, it was a stand-up comedy. People should have more tolerance or more understanding, or at least please go see one of his shows. We're not trying to do any promotions for him because I think he's big enough. But again, there are definitely room for discussions and debates. In this sense, he showed out 2 videos. The first video was saying that, I'm going to use the direct words quote from him, encourage the female population to rap the male population, which are the guys, and he really think people should do so. And by saying so, he is intended to make the audience who see in that stand-up comedy, that show particularly, he tries to make everybody horny, especially the girls. So those girls would take action to rap the guys. Okay, these are the direct quotes from his content video sharings. I'm sure he make it sound so much interesting as the one that I'm sharing now. But I want you guys to give it a second thought, okay? Really think about it. Would you like contents like this? If you say no, there's nothing wrong with that, because there are just different type of audience. We don't have to say yes, likes to anything that shoot right in front of us, right? But imagine this. There are also people, they say yes. They like this. They think he's funny. They think that he was just making a joke. They think that he's a smart guy, so he was just being silly. So yes, there are people saying yes to contents like this. Maybe in reading those contents, there are parental guidance advice necessary, but no, you can see them because YouTube, internet, it's free. And unless you put a label to it, otherwise everybody can see it. So imagine if younger audience or amateurs who has checked out his videos and always think that he was an idol, or like one of those KOLs they should follow because they have subscribed to his channels, would they be misled? Okay, so that has definitely been one of the biggest debates we have lately. So some people say yes, some people say no. But no matter your decision is yes or no, in this case, it's freedom of speech, and he's not mocking or slandering anybody besides himself, so doesn't seem to break any laws as well. Smart guy. Again, we need to come back and see from another total different aspect. What would that be? Because as I was sharing that he shared two particular videos, correct? The first one, he encouraged the female population to rap the male generation, which are the guys. So girls, be on top of guys, okay? Let me too be you too, okay? Well, it's a silly way to put it. And he wants everybody down below at that particular comedy show to get them aroused, to get the girls horny, so they'll do something about the guys next to them or the guys out there, okay? It all sounds very silly, right? But it has views, it has a lot of clicks. But if you check out the comment down below, they are both sides' opinion, which is fair. Like I was saying, yes and no. You never have to say, oh yes, to all the contents should right in front of you. But there are just people who's gonna say yes. But if you're the one who say no, don't worry. It's not that you are too conservative or there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. Because you do need to hold your standards. You do need to know what are your preferences, what are your fine lines in defining all this contents online. That's also what makes us legitimate users and audience. However, the second video, yes, there are two. Remember, the second video he shoot, he was turning all upside down, okay? He was making fun with all this, telling girls should rap the guys. And he was saying that there are too many Me Too, but not enough of the other way around, right? Even though there are some cases, we're not saying that's none at all. And he was trying to use all these provocative statements, jokes to get everybody's attention. I definitely hope this is a good intention right behind, but yes and no. If I remember correctly, during his first video, or he have made statements afterwards, if some of you who has joined that particular stand-up comedy, you can tell us if I'm on the right track. So he also made a statement telling this internet website, which is the key opinion leader for the feminism here in Taiwan. It's called the Womaninnet. They always make opinions and articles regarding about from a woman's perspective, stand up for the female population, which is necessary. But this particular stand-up comedian, he was targeting this Womaninnet and telling the audience that after today's speech, which is the speech he has shared at the stand-up comedy on that date, he thinks the Womaninnet will definitely write an article against him or to tells him that, hey man, you didn't get rap. And it's really happening. I mean, the Womaninnet was responding to this particular stand-up comedian by writing two articles actually, and one of the articles is labeled the title as the stand-up comedian was hoping for. He says that, hey man, you didn't get rap. So again, right after the two articles has been shared and spread, because this was a live performance coming from the stand-up comedian's one of his show, right? He posted part of the video, which is the first video, on his personal YouTube channels. And after the articles from the Womaninnet has been released, he posted a second video. And on that second video is also the same day, he just breaks his stand-up comedy show into two little sessions. And the second section, he telling this whole story of him growing up as a junior high kid. He was being rapped all the time. This is going to get a little uncomfortable for those of you who doesn't like either the stand-up comedy, the Me Too, or the guy version of the Me Too, okay? But I have to tell what he have shared during his show. So this particular stand-up comedian was telling everybody that, you guys think I never been rapped before? Because I'm very good looking, and of course looking at his manhood, right? Because they always joke about his gigantic manhood. Again, I know this is outrageous, not very comfortable, but sometimes they do, silly jokes like that. But anyway, so he will quote to quote saying that growing up as a junior high school kid, he was rapped by his classmate. Like his peers, those peers would actually not just one, they work as a team. So they were shot at him and ties his hand, and then there's some other guys will take off his pants and start jerking it off. Yes, that's kind of creepy. I mean, in a normal circumstances, and I don't know why this doesn't even got the attention. I think this is the crucial part for me. When I was checking out his videos and statements, I think this is the part that I have most concern of. If this does happen in the past, no matter if this particular comedian has let it go himself, he didn't report it right back then, because I know when people or reporters go after him, he could tell people that, oh, I was only so young, I was so naive, I didn't know, I only know one thing is to fight back. So he was telling the audiences that he trimmed himself, he lift weight, and he have to be above 70 kilograms in order to build up his muscles and strength, because the main reason was because the guy who bullies him, I don't know, it's just this particular guy or few guys, because they weigh 70 kilograms. Well, anyway, so that was kind of like the stories, the second stories, and something for us to think about, okay? We're not judging him. I think nobody was actually judging, but you can definitely see different kinds of comments. There are so many positive ones and negative ones, of course. Lots of people are saying that it's a very brave thing that he does. He has the guts to face his past, sharing these sexually mistreated stories of himself and make it into a joke. Maybe he will be a good example for those who are also mistreated sexually, to look at him as a mirror, to follow him, to be like him, to overcome and conquer all this, whatever they have, emotionally, physically, the traumas. But also, there's another approach saying that he really shouldn't come out like that. Of course, it's his freedoms of speech. And it seems very creative to have shared his own sorrows and his own damages right in front of this big crowds of audiences, right? And he used a very, I don't even know if this is funny. This is definitely not funny. When I was checking out the video, I don't think it's funny at all. If we comes back to the stand-up comedy itself, it's supposed to make people feel happy, but it's definitely not. People still laugh, but I didn't quite get the funny part in his story. But anyway, so a lot of people were also saying that you could have heard those people who are also being mistreated sexually. You could have been a bad example for them, because it seems like, well, being treated that way doesn't hurt as much. Look at this guy, this particular stand-up comedian. He has healed. He is pretty strong. He takes these negative experiences and turn out into something positive. But guess what? That is not for everybody. And even though towards the end of the video, I think this particular content provider, creators, stand-up comedian also shared that, oh, this is just my story. This is just me. I have done so much. I've overcome this. And I hope whoever has been mistreated sexually or being raped in a way can also, figure things out. So that was something that I brought up. I wasn't intended to get so much into the details, but this is simply one of the examples that I wanted to share with our listeners, whoever signed up to the i3EDU channels, for you guys to think about. If you are someone who shoot videos, who want to be a storytellers, who by using audios, videos, blogs to tell your own stories, you need to know, am I being creative? And I'm being ignorant? And I'm being creative by not caring about other people's feelings? Am I care too much about other people's comments and feedbacks, and it stumbled my creativity? So all this, you need to be really careful and really take into considerations. And if you do have the chance to sign up to my course or any of our online courses, you might hearing more of me putting together lots of the live examples, bloody ones, lively ones, of course, around us. So not only we give you the tutorials, not only by providing you with the materials, not only give you the techniques, we also telling you and giving you all this analysis and insights. So you could have become much more different, or I should say, a better form of your own creators. Anyway, I'm saying a lot, and now it's time for break. I will shoot a brief advertisements, and when we come back, I will get right into some of the examples of being creative right after the break. Alright, welcome back to today's episode. You are now listening to the Tech Talk from Dr. Ken, which is me. I'm one of the product manager here at IIIT DEI. DEI is Digital Education Institute here in Taiwan. We offer online and offline courses for any particular classes that you're interested. Please feel free to go to our official website. Our official website URL is www.iiidei.org.tw, and underneath the course sessions, you will be able to find different segments of courses, tutorials, and feel free to contact us if you have any questions or seeking for further discussions. You can text us, message us, or by calling our extension numbers. Our correspondence course manager will be right there with you. And before the break, we have talked about the creativity of being a content provider, so does the storytellers. No matter you are sharing your story through a video formed, audio formed, or text-based, maybe a blog, you are about to generate your own content and share it on the internet, right? And social media as a platform is definitely one of the simplest and easiest ways to approach to the massive users and audience out there. Of course, I have shared just one example by making you guys think whether or not, as creators, can you be shutting down all those concerns and consideration just because you are being creative? Okay, something you guys have to think about. And we are also bringing those discussions in our class sessions as well. So you can find out more on our online courses or offline sessions. Anyway, so now for the last sessions before I'm closing today's episode, I would like to show you guys, as the topic for today, we are talking about creativity and planning. So I'm elaborating by using covers. Okay, covers. What is covers? You know, there's lots of musicians, singers, and artists online, right? If they just shoot out their original works, their own arrangements, a lot of the times not many people would know about them because you are not signing off with some big label companies, or simply nobody knows you. So the best way to attract attention will be covered. You might think that cover is boring. You might think that cover is just mimicking or a copycat. But no, cover actually requires lots of plannings and of course creativity. So in today's show, I have prepared a song for you guys. Of course, it's a brief songs from variety of the content providers, so-called the creators. They have kind of put up their works to it. Before we start listening to the first 10 seconds of their work, let me have a little background information for you guys. This song is called Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. Tracy Chapman is a 4-time Grammy Award winner. Yes, born at 1964. Her age is now 56. Released many albums, I don't even want to count. And Fast Car is definitely one of the big hits from her. And imagine a song like this. Of course, you're going to have a lot of people, a lot of artists and musicians cover her work. So in the following, I'm gonna play several YouTubers who covers her work and the song Fast Car. And when we come back from each of the 10 seconds of their work, I will share a little bit more about how they demonstrate their creativity.
You got a fast car, I wanna take it anywhere. Maybe we can make a deal. Maybe together.
Okay, the first 10 seconds song that we heard is from the artist Khalid. This is actually a live launch session in the BBC radio. So as you can heard, Khalid, the singer, the young talent who has tended to keep the same guitar arrangements and with a little different tunes to it. So of course, his own vocal is really different than Tracy Chapman, carries out more of a younger person who have kind of carried these burdens in his early stage of life. Anyway, if you guys are interested in finding out the entire song, just go ahead and check out Khalid. And this is a launch live session in the BBC radio.
Fast car, I gotta take it to anywhere. Maybe we can make a deal. Maybe together we can get.
Alright, the version that we just heard is a very interesting one, and some of you might already figured out who he is. Yes, he is Justin Bieber. This is also another live launch session in the BBC radio. I think they invited lots of different artists and singers to come to their radio shows and do a cover. So, how do you like Justin Bieber's version? All I can tell is that it still keeps pretty much like 85 to 90% of the arrangement, but something is definitely wrong with the vocal. Too much echo, and I think the balancing was a little off. So anyway, that's Justin Bieber's cover version of the Tracy Chapman's Fast Car. But still, you can see his talent and trying to do different tracks to it. So that's why it has all the echoes in the backgrounds. And why don't we check out the next song? It's the same song, Fast Car, and the cover by a variety of the artists. And let's see how they demonstrate their creativity.
You got a fast car, I wanna take it to anywhere. Maybe we can make a deal.
Oh my god, okay, this version of Fast Car of Tracy Chapman's song is by Sam Smith. Another live launch here at the BBC radio. And you can hear right away, right? Sam Smith was trying to give it a very jazzy touch to it. So the music and the arrangement is very luxurious in a way. And almost when he hit the notes, you'll be like, okay, where's my drinks? Anyway, so he's being creative. And remember, this is still the same song with different touches.
You got a fast car, and I want a ticket to anywhere. Maybe we'll make a deal. Maybe together we can get.
Oh wow, this is probably one of the best versions that I like. This cover of the Tracy Chapman's Fast Car is by Dustin Prince. Not the Prince, okay? Dustin. Where are you, Dustin? Okay, Dustin, I like his vocal to begin with, and even though the sound quality was not as good as the BBC radio's live launch, of course, because the recording devices and instrument does make a lot of differences. But Dustin's version is very real, very true. And guess what? Find it interesting. I actually kind of like the folk and country singing styles here with his voice. Pretty nice. Anyway, but do you think that the song that you like, the cover, would definitely have the highest click? No. So far, Dustin Prince's cover version of Tracy Chapman's Fast Car actually only have about 5,000 views. See, this is something interesting about the internet. It could be not creative enough. It could be because the sound quality wasn't good enough. Of course, it could be simply just you are just nobody. Anyway, I do like his vocal though. Let's check out the next version, shall we?
You got a fast car, I want a ticket to anywhere. Maybe we can make a deal. Maybe together we can get
Okay, this is another cover song of Tracy Chapman's Fast Car by Julian Miller. So I think this song is very right there, you know. I'm not saying so, I'm just saying that, okay, it's very right there. So you can tell not too much of a strong personality has been demonstrated, but it's different, especially when you listen to the original by Tracy Chapman. It's definitely different. So like I say, you could stay real, stay true to it, or you can be very fancy. Even though those two guys, they're not celebrities, right? Like Julian Miller and of course Dustin Prince, they're all just general artists, you know, but they have done us proud, for sure.
You get a fast car, I want a ticket to anywhere. Maybe we can make a deal. Maybe together we
Okay, this is a girl version of the cover song for Tracy Chapman's Fast Car. Her name is Romy Wave, and of course, this is already a remix version. So even it's a fast car song, you know, it's very sad if you ever heard the song. You kind of know the whole story, right? Tracy Chapman is a really good singer and good storytellers, but Romy Wave has kind of give it a different touches by remixing it. Still nice, and you can hear like a girl power kind of spirit in it, right? So again, we are demonstrating different creativities even within the same song. So let's check out the next song to demonstrate more of a variety of the creativities.
You've got a fast car, I want a ticket for anywhere. Maybe we can make a deal.
Alright, play with the accents. The cover song that we have just heard is actually by Passenger. Definitely carries out this heavy accents. I don't know if it's Scottish, Irish, but it's definitely British. Either one of the accents has making you feel like, oh, okay. So Tracy Chapman has actually traveled to UK. Not too much with the accents, but anyway, so even if you carry an accent, you can still be creative. You can still cover it. You can still have your own touches to it. And Passenger, don't look down on them. They have about almost 4 million views with this particular YouTube clips. Alright, so above are just some of the examples that I've collected. Of course, there's no copyright concerns and issues here. I only use about less than 10 seconds of their work. Basically, in today's episode, I want to really show you guys why is planning ahead important before you are trying to tell your story, no matter it's a video, it's an audio, or it's a blog, text-based, as what I'm referring to. And if you are telling your stories very planned, very flat, then you could have found it like one of the songs that I have just shared, some of the covers, but you could also make it sound so different, you know, even though they are all singing the same song, Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. As a musician, as an artist, as a YouTuber, as a creator, as a content provider, you need to plan ahead. And you need to know what are some of the creativities I want to put into it. And do I want to be so opposite from the original ones? Sort of say, look at Sam Smith. He was a singer himself and he really just goes for it, right? He putting all these jazz bands and tunes to it, and it still sounds good. So remember, by calling our episode today I talk about all the social media system networkings. How do you being creative? And how do you plan ahead? And while you are preparing for your salad bowl, remember my salad bowl varies. It's better be something healthy to begin with. And how do you find different textures and flavors of ingredients you want to put on top of it as your toppings? And of course, eventually the dressing. So you will make this salad bowl so delicious, so yummy, and so healthy. And it's the same thing which goes to your video shooting, script writing, and editing. I hope you guys have definitely gained something today from my Tech Talk. And if you want to learn more, sign up to the i3EDU channel provided by IIIDEI. We are the Digital Education Institute here in Taiwan. All these resources, contents, and materials are free. And if you want to learn more, you want to register or sign up and become one of our members, students, or partners, feel free to come to our official website. Again, it's www.iiidei.org.tw. Underneath the course sessions for any of the listed courses, you're going to be able to find a correspondent course managers or product managers like me. I hope you guys don't hesitate to text us messages or call us at our extension numbers. We are more than happy to get right back to you and answer your question. So that's it for today. For those of you who haven't checked out my first episode for social media and networking, go back and check it out. And for those of you who have found out my video today regarding about creativity and planning, stay tuned for my next episode. I'm Dr. Ken. I'll talk to you guys soon.